This is the Sean Hannity Show podcast.
I realized that every time we talk about activity of those people, there will be always, yes, it is freedom of speech, but. And the turning point is but. Why do we still say but when we...
We feel certain now that it is a politically motivated attack, and thereby it is a terrorist attack. We take this situation extremely seriously. We are in a high alarm all over the country, and our main priority at this stage is to catch the perpetrators and make sure that we find them as soon as possible.
All praise is due to Allah, the strong and mighty. And may blessings and peace be upon the one sent by the sword as a mercy for all the worlds. O people, recently you've seen us on the hills of Asham and on Dabok's plain, chopping off the heads that have been carrying the cross delusion for a long time, filled with spite against Islam and Muslims. And today, we're on the south of Rome, on the land of Islam, Libya, sending another message. O Crusaders, safety for you will be only wishes, especially when you're fighting us all together. Therefore, we will fight you all together until the war lays down its burdens, and Jesus, peace be upon him, will descend, breaking the cross, killing the swine, and abolishing jizya. And the sea you've hidden Sheikh Osama bin Laden's body in, we swear to Allah, we will mix it with your blood.
That was on the video. 21 people, Christians, marched by the Mediterranean Sea and simultaneously beheaded. Before that, it was the Prime Minister of Denmark, the attack that took place after a free speech conference. The Swedish cartoonist that came under attack this weekend has spoken out. He was the primary target of the attackers as he spent the last 8 years living under an Islamic death sentence for drawing a cartoon of Muhammad. And he said, to be honest, I don't really see any other candidates, he said, on the subject of the Copenhagen assault directed at him personally. I'm living a very high level of threats against my life, so it makes sense that I am the one being targeted. But they're not going to stop. These attacks now have reignited debate about the safety of Jews in all of Europe as the shock has now rained out. So once again, the JV team has struck again. And the Islamic terror group, I saw this video. For those of you with the stomach to watch it, highly produced, with a narrative that you just, heard there, audio message signed in blood to the nation of Christians. And they're marched into the front. The message is given. 21 heads are cut off with knives by an individual hostage holder in each case. And then you see blood running into the Mediterranean from the 21 bodies. Joining us now, it's our top story. Dr. Michael Youssef is the author of the new book, Jesus, Jihad, and Peace. Not only founded and leads an international ministry at one of the largest Christian churches in the U.S., was born and raised in Egypt as a Coptic Christian church. And Mark Arabo, who's a community-proclaimed leader, the national spokesman for Iraqi Christians globally. And, gentlemen, thank you both for being with us. Now, the interesting thing to me, Dr. Youssef, is that I see, just like in the case, the Jordanians have one soldier burned to death, and they responded with overwhelming immediate force.
Right.
Similarly, the Egyptians have now begun bombing with overwhelming use of military force.
Yeah.
And the president of the United States denies that radical Islamists exist. And, of course, after the beheading that took place of James Foley, he was on the golf course 30 seconds later.
Yeah. Well, that is absolutely travesty. There are several things, Sean. Thank you, by the way, for endorsing that book. That's the reason why it's succeeding. I can tell you truthfully, The Muslim mind only understands force. And the head of Jordan, the head of Egypt, they understand that. And anybody else appears to be weak, they're only going to take advantage, and they're going to get worse and worse and worse. And that's why we're getting into this mess, because they smell blood. They see weakness. And the thing is, here's the tragedy of all tragedies for the American foreign policy. We have a fine man in Egypt, President Sisi, who absolutely calls them a Muslim fundamentalist. He calls them Muslim Islamist, Islami in Arabic. And yet our president is not able to call them that. And he's siding with them. He brings them to the White House and to the State Department, and they take their pictures there with the Muslim Brotherhood. They were just there a couple of weeks ago. And he literally ignores President Sisi, who received more than 23 million votes. It is travesty beyond travesties that I've never seen anything like it in all my 66 years.
It is embarrassing to me as an American that we have a president that does not understand evil in our times. You know, we're going to look back historically and look at General Sisi and even King Abdullah. I never thought that I would say that they were in the forefront of understanding the nature of radical Islam, while the United States of America wouldn't even recognize it as a threat.
Yeah, we're siding with them. We welcome them. Put the red carpet at the White House and at the State Department, as they did 2 or 3 weeks ago. And from the very beginning, he supported the Muslim Brotherhood. He put all his weight behind them. They didn't even win the election, but he insisted on them they're winning, because he said if they get into power, terrorism will cease. But they were the terrorists, and they're declared by the Egyptian government.
And El-Sisi, he may die and be assassinated for daring to confront the imams in Egypt. These are 21 Christians slaughtered, and he had the moral compass to fight back.
And he declared 7 days of mourning.
Yes.
7 days of mourning in Egypt. And our president just issued a little statement. It is tragedy, Sean. It really is. I just weep over America. I love this country, and I came here by choice.
Well,
but I weep over it.
Mark, what's your reaction to this?
Well, I 100% agree with you, Sean. This is a tragedy. It's a travesty, and we've seen through the actions of ISIS that this is no longer simply a war on the West or democracy, but it's a war against Christianity. And you've been warning about this for the last 8 months. Thank you
8 months
on the show.
For years, I've been warning about it.
We've been talking about it as far as the rise of ISIS and ISIL. And this president's weak foreign policy is leading for them to spread as a cancer that they are. And we are the leader of the world as Americans, but our president needs to lead and not follow. And it shows that his lack of leadership right now is leading to a lot of innocent lives being killed and a lot of Christians being persecuted. So I thank you for your great show, because a lot of media outlets aren't talking about the Christian genocide, and you are.
So it really is Christian genocide. It's Yazidi genocide. It's Christian genocide. And it goes way beyond this. You've got now the Prime Minister of Israel is trying to warn the administration about giving radical Islamic mullahs in Iran nuclear weapons and the potential. And you've got a president hell-bent on giving it to them. And he now finds himself in a position where he is urging people in Europe now to move to Israel because of the rise of anti-Semitism. You know, we had in Wisconsin and Madison this weekend homes spray painted with, Nazi symbols. You've got Israeli press reports saying that Obama is punishing Israel because Netanyahu is against giving nuclear power to the Iranians. And, the U.S. is cutting Israel out of the Iranian talks. And Yemen's, the last Jewish people in Yemen now, they're eyeing an exodus because of the Islamist militia takeover. And, Bibi's now running an ad. Shows ISIS asking directions to Jerusalem.
Yep. And that's exactly what they want. They want to go for the little Satan as well as the big Satan. And Sean, you've been saying this for years, particularly the sleeper cells in America.
They're here. They are here in this country.
Exactly. There are so many of them. And the intelligence is all there. The information is there. And all we get is a warning. Yeah, right.
Yeah, it's all of the above. Listen to what this guy said this week. All praise due to Allah, the strong and mighty, says this ISIS jihadist dressed in military fatigues and American accented English. May the blessings and peace be upon one sent by the sword as a mercy to all the worlds. And after he finishes speaking, him and his fellow terrorists commence the beheading of 21 Egyptian Christians. Now, at least El Sisi and King Abdullah, are fighting back with a fierceness.
Yes.
Exactly.
In fact, Sisi, I heard him just give a speech recently, literally a week ago, and he said, look, if I die, I'm happy to die for my country. But if I die at the hand of Islamists, I'm very willing to do it. He said something else that really fascinated me, that's something our president could not say. He said, if God himself does not force people to believe in him, who are these people who want people to believe in God their way? I thought that is a powerful statement coming from a Muslim head of state.
Yeah.
And our president says there was a random shooting in the kosher shop in Paris.
Mm-hmm.
It is insanity unless there's a spirit of delusion that's falling upon the electorate. Because to be quite honest, as much as I'm angry and disappointed and frustrated with what's happening with the administration, I grieve over what's happening to the electorate for voting him twice.
Yeah, this is something I try to warn everybody about, but that's a different story for a different day.
And if you see, ISIS is a symptom of the disease that is really a dysfunction in Washington. ISIL is a cancer for religious minorities, including the Jewish community. They have to be eradicated. And if they were to listen to your foreign policy, Sean, for the last years, we wouldn't have this issue right now. But now, with a lack of leadership, ISIS is spreading like cancer.
It's a cancer. It is Nazism in our time. These are Islamo-fascists that want to kill and destroy. I watch all of this. If you don't see beheadings and mass execution and, people being shot the way they have been and the savagery that has taken place, and you don't have a compulsion to act, I don't know what will do it. What's significant here is this is Libya. This was supposed to be one of the signature foreign policy achievement of the Obama years.
Yep, and Yemen.
And Yemen, yeah, Yemen
Somalia,
as well.
I mean, all
we
these
didn't see that, and we didn't see that coming. We didn't see Somalia coming either.
Yeah, the great successes of the foreign policy of this administration it's in shambles. And I pray to God somebody has access to this man. And I pray for him because I'm commanded to pray for those in authority. But I pray to God that somebody goes there and puts some sense into his mind, into his head, and some advisor who would have some godly insights that would be able to persuade him to understand the world as it really is, not as a world as he envisions it in his leftist world and utopia.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's not that way. Now, it's very interesting because these beheadings took place on the very day the New York Times front page, top fold, Islamic State is expanding beyond its base in Syria and Iraq to establish militant affiliates in Afghanistan, Algeria, Egypt, and Libya. Yeah. And American intelligence officials assert raising the prospect of a new global war on terror. I'm like, guys, this is going on, and you guys are just missing it. But.
Yeah. And, when Hillary Clinton went and praised Morsi, the Muslim Brotherhood president, who was only for 12 months, when she went there and praised him, the next day he brought thousands upon thousands of those jihadis and placed them in the Sinai, who are now killing Egyptian army officers on a daily basis. Yeah. They brought the terrorists to the Sinai. They thought that's the only way I can threaten my own army and my own citizens is to have those terrorists from Afghanistan, from Yemen, and from Libya and put them in the Sinai desert.
Right.
And on a daily basis, they're killing Egyptian army officers.
Unbelievable. All right, gentlemen, thank you.
Hannity Headline, a bite-sized version of the show that you can take with you everywhere you go. To sign up today for Hannity Headlines, go to Hannity.com.